There is something powerful about this story. Imagine being surrounded by thousands of people, everyone shouting, pushing, and trying to get close to Jesus. But suddenly, Jesus stopped. Not because he was tired, not because someone important had called him. He stopped because he heard the cry of one person, and what happened next changed that person's life forever. Jesus had been traveling through the towns and villages, teaching about the kingdom of God, healing the sick, and giving hope to people who had lost everything. News about him had spread everywhere. Wherever Jesus went, crowds followed. On this particular day, Jesus was leaving a place called Jericho with his disciples and a large crowd behind him. Along the road sat a blind man named Bartimaeus. He could not see the people passing by. He could not see the road. He could not see the face of Jesus. But he could hear. As the crowd became louder, Bartimaeus asked someone nearby, "What's happening?" They told him, "Jesus of Nazareth is passing by." The moment Bartimaeus heard that name, something changed inside him. He knew this might be his opportunity. So he began to shout, "Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me." The crowd heard him, but instead of encouraging him, many people told him to be quiet. "Stop shouting. Don't disturb the teacher. Be quiet." But Bartimaeus refused to remain silent. Think about that. He had been blind for years. He had probably heard people tell him what he could not do. He had lived with limitations that other people could see every day. But now, when Jesus was passing by, he wasn't going to allow the crowd to silence his faith. So he shouted even louder, "Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me." And then something incredible happened. Jesus stopped. Out of the entire crowd, Jesus stopped for one man. He could have continued walking. He could have focused on the people surrounding him. But Jesus heard the cry of someone everyone else wanted to silence. Jesus said, "Call him." The same people who had told Bartimaeus to be quiet now had to call him. "Cheer up. Get on your feet. Jesus is calling you." Bartimaeus immediately got up and went toward Jesus. Then Jesus asked him a simple question. "What do you want me to do for you?" Jesus already knew what Bartimaeus needed, but he wanted Bartimaeus to speak. Bartimaeus answered, "Rabbi, I want to see." And Jesus said, "Go, your faith has healed you." Immediately, Bartimaeus received his sight. For the first time, he could see the faces around him. He could see the road. He could see the people. And most importantly, he could see Jesus. Imagine that moment. The man who had spent so much of his life sitting by the road was no longer sitting there. The man who had been calling for mercy was now walking with a new future. And the Bible tells us that Bartimaeus followed Jesus along the road. There is something powerful about this story. Bartimaeus didn't allow his circumstances to convince him that Jesus wouldn't hear him. He didn't allow the crowd to determine his future. And he didn't stop calling because someone told him to be quiet. Sometimes, life can feel like that crowd. People may tell you that your dream is impossible. Your circumstances may tell you that nothing will change. Fear may tell you to give up. But don't let the noise around you make you forget who Jesus is. Bartimaeus couldn't see Jesus, but he believed Jesus could change his life. And sometimes faith means trusting God even when you cannot yet see the answer. Maybe you're watching this right now and you're waiting for something to change. Maybe you've been praying for your family. Maybe you're asking God for direction. Maybe you're going through a difficult season and wondering when it will end. Remember Bartimaeus. The crowd was loud, but Jesus still heard his voice. Your situation may be loud. Your fears may be loud. Your problems may be loud. But don't assume that God cannot hear you. Keep praying. Keep trusting. Keep seeking Him. And when the opportunity comes, don't be afraid to call on Jesus, because the same Jesus who stopped for Bartimaeus is the Jesus who teaches us that every person matters. The story doesn't end with Bartimaeus receiving his sight. It ends with him following Jesus. That is the real transformation. He didn't simply receive a miracle and walk away. He chose to follow the one who had changed his life. And perhaps That's the question for us today. If God answers your prayer, will you follow him afterward? Don't let the crowd silence your faith. Don't let fear stop your prayer. And don't give up simply because you haven't seen the answer yet. Sometimes, the breakthrough begins with one simple decision. I'm going to call on Jesus anyway. Because Bartimaeus couldn't see Jesus, but Jesus could see Bartimaeus. And even when you cannot see what God is doing in your life, you can still trust that he sees you. So keep your faith, keep praying, keep moving forward, and never forget, the crowd may not hear you, but Jesus does. Share the gospel, share this video, subscribe. Thank you and be blessed.